Welcome to Never Too Serious with Scott and Dave. I'm Scott.
And I'm Dave.
Universal basic income. You ever heard of that, Dave?
Oh, I've heard about it, and I want it. I want it. I'm all in on this stuff.
Oh, no.
Aren't you?
No, I'm
Why?
not.
Well,
I mean, I should be the devil's advocate, but I in this particular case, it's really tough to be.
It's really tough to even say that BS I just told you because I'm not in on it. I can't get it. But I will tell you, going forward in this conversation, I'm going to try to pull out the positives that are people saying. I'm going to really try to see that point of view. Man, I already know how this is to me, but I'm going to try to pull out a couple of positives to see why we should implement this.
Well, I will do my best to do the same.
Good luck.
I struggle a bit because I am a libertarian. I want the government out of my business. I want to take the responsibility for my life on my own shoulders. And I think government, we were talking earlier, I was like, I want the government really to be the official on the field who's kind of making sure people follow the rules. I don't want them to be a player on the field as well.
Right. They're expensive to have on the field.
Yeah, and they keep changing the rules as they go, and typically those rules benefit them.
You're right.
And you can't kick them off the field.
Nope, not once you invite them.
Yeah. So those of you who've not heard of Universal Basic Income, UBI for short, Universal Basic Income is the idea that the government would provide a very basic income for everyone. Universally.
And it sounds pretty basic too. They're not even offering that much.
There's a few different folks who have talked about doing it. Andrew Yang, he ran for president the 2019, he was out campaigning for the 2020 election, and he was talking about a $1,000 cash payment to everyone in the United States.
That's not going to get me on board.
As long as you're, of age, 18 and older, you would get $1,000. If you are Jeff Bezos to the guy asking for money on the street, you'd still get that $1,000 every single month. Basically, no strings attached. You just get it because you are, supposedly a citizen of the United States. I'm not even sure that was in his plan as citizenship.
Well,
one of the things that's, I think, glaring is that people like free stuff. And some people don't really care what the ramifications of that might be.
Absolutely.
And I think in this particular case, getting $1,000 a month with no strings attached, it sounds great, but there are some ramifications.
I know people that would jump on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So one of the things is that it's very expensive.
Tell me how.
So in the United States, they're estimating if people got about $1,000 a month, it would be right around $3 to maybe $4 trillion. That's a lot.
That's annually to pay this out?
Annually, yes. And
that's more than we even get out of taxes, isn't it? How much do you know off the top of your head how much the government gets from us out of taxes? I thought it was like $3 to $4 trillion. I thought something like that.
Well,
oh my gosh, you didn't pull that up?
Okay, so sorry to do this to you again, Dave.
This is so hard.
I'm bringing up the U.S. debt calculator again. And just to kind of give us some numbers. As of today, national debt is at $29 trillion.
But doesn't it ever go the other way?
And it's spinning up pretty fast. U.S. federal budget deficit, this is the official one, it's over $2 trillion, almost $3 trillion. So spending is at $6 trillion. We get about 2.8.
So I was off in a bad way.
Yeah. So
I was thinking 3 or 4. So how are we going to sustain it?
Yeah, just over $3 trillion per year in taxes, and that doesn't include the cost of healthcare. The current biggest costs to the United States is Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security.
And healthcare in the United States is outrageous.
And Social Security it's headlines all the time. It's not sustainable in its current form.
And they've been ringing that bell for years.
Mm-hmm. They're talking a little bit about how do you afford this?
Yeah.
Andrew Yang his plan was to not kill the other welfare programs that are going on right now.
Oh,
he was saying,
I wonder how much that costs us a year.
Well, a lot.
And then he wants
I
to
don't
add
know.
this extra
It's
three
like-
trillion on top of it.
Yeah, I think the other programs are over $1 trillion a year. So with this, he's talking about having an option of choosing whether you get this universal basic income or these other things. Now,
Well-
you cannot have a basic income of $1,000 a month and still afford government health care. It's an enormous cost. So his thoughts were, well, you got to make a decision. Which one do you want? Do you want the cash value or do you want the other health care? Well, if you're young and healthy, maybe you're just going to choose that cash right there. But again, the cost of doing this is so enormous. How would you pay for it? Well, they are talking about a tax upwards of 75% of someone's income.
Okay, so
75%.
So let me ask you, when your drive is to succeed in something, and you find out that you have to put in significant more time to make those goals. If I go to work and find out essentially that I am now, how do I say it, taking home 3/4 less money, what's the incentive to fight or to? I say fight because a lot of times you have to work hard to get what you get, but
Why would you expel those?
Why would you want to?
Those resources,
right? It's like a circle that won't.
I look at it
come around.
just to make the numbers easy. What if you had you're working 4 days, 10 hours on each of those days, so you're working your 40 hours in a 4-day week. In this case, you're working 3 days out of that 4-day work week for the government.
That's right.
You're only getting back that 1 day. The other option they were talking about was having a sales tax, an upwards of 85% sales tax. Now, they call it a value-added tax. It's basically a sales tax. You have a product, the government institutes a sales tax on top of it, and then that money goes back to, if it's a state or if it's, some other thing. I think even some cities have a different sales tax level than the rest of the state. Anyway, in this case, we're talking 85% potentially, upwards of 85%.
So it makes you buying a car would be quite expensive.
Yeah, so if you have a basic income of $1,000 a month, plus whatever job earnings you're bringing in, which is potentially low because of taxes.
I was just going to say, which isn't very much.
But if you have a sales tax on top of that, that means that, that $100, you've just added another 85 on top of it. That's a ridiculous cost increase to anything that you're buying, which means that level of income that you have, the spending power has dropped significantly.
Right. So whatever you own at that moment, just know that that's all you're going to have, and you're going to have enough money just to hopefully just to keep it maintained to have it.
Yeah. So
good luck buying anything else new.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is the buying power has just been reduced, which means the value of that basic income also has been reduced.
Right.
So now we're going to be saying, oh, well, the poverty level now is, instead of it being $20,000 a year, now the poverty level is $40,000 a year because the cost of all of the products and services out there have gone up significantly.
And that $1,000 is going to feel like a $250.
Yeah. Then they're going to have to say, okay, well, we're going to raise that. Well, that just perpetuates this horrible cycle.
Right, and then they need more money. And the next year, to make it even sustainable, they're going to have to do $6 trillion to give them double. But
well,
this here would create a lot more people just giving up.
The argument is that if you have a basic minimum income, then when someone's working a job that doesn't have a large income, this will supplement it. I also think this demotivates people to work more, not only because, just having this basic income, but all of the things that would have to exist in order for this basic income to exist. We're talking taxes. There's not we'll get into some of these locations that have actually implemented this as an experiment.
I'm sure it turned out well, right?
The sample sizes are pretty small. The experiment didn't impact the entire economy of all the people outside of this experimental group. So the taxes didn't go up.
It wasn't a true test.
Yeah, exactly. The cost of goods and services didn't go up. So we had a small number of people try it out and get this boost in income without the other negative effects that would happen if you did implement it nationally.
So who else is in on this?
So Joe Rogan and Elon Musk are two of the names that popped in. Now,
have they just lost reality, or do they? I mean, some people get so big they
lose touch.
They lose touch is a good way to say. So is that? Are they pushing it, or are they just thinking it's coming?
The way I hear it, and if you listen to Joe Rogan, you can see that he's struggling with the idea, and he's pro. And then in some of the videos, he's like, "Well, but I can understand this would have bad things happen." But here's the kicker: when he was talking with Elon Musk, and he talked about universal basic income, and Elon was in some of these other interviews, he always said, "Yes, I think it's coming because of automation." I thought Elon Musk made a good argument. That is, he's not necessarily for UBI. He is really thinking it's going to happen because of automation. Right. And I think, okay, well, why is it that we have so much more automation? Typically, a business doesn't buy some robot or some system to replace an employee unless there is a financial benefit to it.
It's more efficient,
more accurate, potentially cost less over time,
and less errors.
Mm-hmm. I've got an article from Vox, and I don't rely on Vox for much of anything.
Well, you brought it up.
So much.
So what is it? What is it?
Well, they're so far left-leaning with most of the stuff that they report. But they're talking about, universal basic income from Finland. In 2017, the Finnish government decided to see what would happen if they chose 2,000 unemployed citizens at random and gave them a check for 560 euros. That's about $635 US. And this would be for every month for 2 years. Participants would... I know, it's not a ton of money, but... So participants were assured they'd keep receiving the money if they got a job. So there's no fear of them losing that if they did get a job. This would be good. Like a big old bonus for them.
But they're still paying for it. All right.
Okay. As it turns out, the income didn't help them get jobs, but it did make them feel happier and less stressed. The recipients, they also reported that they felt more trust towards other people. And here's a big one: social institutions. Okay. We talked about, when you become dependent on the government, yeah, you're probably going to be a little bit more nice to them about stuff because they're giving you something.
Yeah.
This is often...
Which creates more power to them.
That's right. It often creates a power imbalance where the person who's receiving the benefits often is submissive to the person who is giving it.
Well, it's like a lender. Like you're the slave to the lender.
Yeah, there you go. Like I said, the national debt right now is clicked over $29 trillion. We can't afford anything right now, let alone even the idea that we would have a universal.
Are you trying to claim back we can't build back better?
Yeah, we can't afford to do that. No, it's gonna kill the American dream. It's gonna kill our economy. We are definitely gonna go in the wrong direction.
Thanks for listening to the shortened version of our show.
If you want to catch the full audio episode, you can find it here or wherever you find your podcasts. But if you want to see the full version in video format, you can catch us on YouTube, Rumble, and now on Spotify.